Good Friday morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. And this morning, you can see my handsome young guest sitting right in front of me on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. His name is Bob Uglum. He's been city councilman at least 4 years, it may be 8. You'll have to clarify that for me. This year, he is actually being challenged by a young lady out of Carrollton. Her name is Constance Glenn. I reached out to her and had no response. Maybe other media has been able to reach out to her. But at this point, I don't know her. Never seen her. I called her. So, Constance, if you're watching, please feel free to call me. I think I have 1 or 2 days left on the Community Voice program before Election Day. We'd love to have you on. Having said that, Bob Uglum, good morning.
Good morning, Colin. Thanks for having me in this morning.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming out. All right, give me the Bob Uglum story. Is it been 8 years? Has it been 4 years?
4.
4 years? Is that it? Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a busy 4 years.
Yeah. Well, I joked before the show. We were talking about I think you've been here since maybe the earlier mid '80s, but your family has made pretty significant impact in the community since that time. Go ahead and start out with us here. You lived with Ted Turner in Montana before you came here, right?
That's where I was born.
Montana, yeah.
But
you didn't inspire him to go there because I think you worked for him in the '80s, didn't you?
Well, you're right. I did work for Ted Turner in the late '70s, early '80s as a technical director, button pusher, yeah. And it was a pretty exciting time to be there too. And
you came here in the early '80s, and then what happened?
Well, I never finished college, never got a college degree, and so gosh, there's this great school right down the street from me, and West Georgia College, and came out here, discovered this restaurant that had been open but was closed at that time, called the Maple Street Mansion, and did a little inquiry and wound up borrowing a bunch of money, and here we are today.
And I wasn't here at that point, but I understand it was a hopping joint for a good bit. I mean, people have stories about being there. How about some ghost stories, too, from the mansion, right?
Yes.
Being that it's Halloweenish.
Yeah. I was never curious about ghosts or spirits until we got the mansion. And the first person we met was an older lady getting her hair cut at Johnny Carnes Hair Salon, which was on the side of the mansion. It was in one room, and the restaurant was closed, but Johnny was in there cutting hair, and this lady came out when I was taking a look at it with Jim and Marlene, my parents. And she said hello and asked what we were doing. We told her. She said, the place is haunted. I said, no, and I didn't think about that a whole lot until later when we had some unusual experiences. And the unusual experiences were fun things to share with people. They'd come in to have a pizza or a prime rib or whatever, and Bob, you've had any ghost experiences lately? I said, well, as a matter of fact, I have, and probably told the same 4 or 5 ghost stories 40,000 times, but.
So the ghost of the Mandevilles, they were just really proud of the indoor plumbing, so they're coming back and flushing toilets, I heard.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So, all right, Bob, let's get serious. Time right now is 8:33-ish. My name's Colin Worthington. Bob Uglum is seeking re-election for Carrollton's Ward 4 City Council. Do you remember your initial platform when you ran 4 years ago? And do you think that you've come close to accomplishing what your mission was, your initiative was to run?
Colin, in all honesty, my platform was probably something along the lines of "Don't mess it up." Mm-hmm. Carrollton, to most people, I think, is a pretty well-run city and a good place to live. Now, as soon as I took office, there was a lot to learn. There's parts that are not great.
You came in at COVID, too, at the same time.
COVID hit about 10 weeks after I took office, which was... I look at time as BC, before COVID, and after COVID, and it really changed a lot of things.
So, in the 4 years, I mean, what do you think that you have done? What do you think that you've been part of that has saved it from collapsing?
Boy, that's a lot of credit. I'm not sure I'm due that much credit, but Well, we've continued to operate Carrollton financially prudent, or keep Carrollton financially sound.
There is the belief that Carrollton does have a lot of money, whether it's stored in reserves. And I'm not saying that it's a negative thing. I feel like it's that Carrollton's in good shape.
Carrollton is in good shape, and that's without going up on our millage rate this year. It's with lowering the millage rate and doing everything we can within reason to keep our expenses under control. And it's hard, just like everybody that's listening this morning. If you go to the grocery store, or you buy a car, or you fill up your car, everything costs more. And the same's true at the city. Everything in our operations costs more than it did 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Bob Uglum, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, Ward 4 City Councilman in the city of Carrollton. And I should have asked this early on. After the census in 2020, the wards ended up having to shift a little bit. So people voting in this election in November, or this week even, some may be voting for Ward 4 for the first time and not know it. They go there and find out, oh, hey, I'm in Ward 4. So what were the additions or the change subtractions from your ward? And, what the boundaries look like now?
Well, I prior to the redrawing, I had one quadrant of the square, the quadrant where Corner Cafe is, one of my favorite places to go for lunch. Now I don't. And my Ward 4, I lost all that part of Bradley Street. It goes up to City Hall and takes a turn there at Austin Avenue. Lost parts of Austin Avenue, though, which I've got some of my favorite voters live there. Lost part of Maple Street, which probably my favorite voter, my mom, lives on. But I know... She
is a peach, by the way.
Thank you. And the current councilman takes her calls and sees to her needs. But I lost a few areas, and I don't know that I necessarily gained anything.
So is there I'm guessing on the city website there must be the wards drawn, right?
Yes.
So people can go check and see.
Yes.
So they're not surprised when they go to the polling place. Early voting, today is the last day of the first week. 2 more weeks of early voting before Election Day, which is November 7th. Have you checked out numbers? Were you able to tell what the voting turnout's been like for your ward at this point?
I haven't checked.
Yeah, okay.
On that topic, I've had quite a few people call me say, where do you go to vote?
Well, right.
Because the elections board, which has been over on College Street for, 30 years.
And will return there.
Yes. Is at the old West Georgia Technical Center building on Noonan Road across from the Sheriff's Department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need to remind people that and get that out so they don't go out there and then they're frustrated because they can't find it and they decide not to vote. How many... do you know how many people voted for you in your last race? What was the winning number?
Colin, I don't remember exactly. I think the total was about 600.
The total votes was 600.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. All right. Time right now is 8:39. We're going to take our first break and come back with Bob Uglum. He is a city councilman for the city of Villa Rica, represents Ward 4. This year he is being challenged by Constance Glenn. Am I wrong?
City of Carrollton.
City of Carrollton.
Yeah. I love Villa Rica, but no, I'm City of Carrollton.
Yes, sir. I apologize for that. We'll take our first break right now. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
Oak Mountain Academy is an innovative school of academic excellence celebrating a 61-year legacy. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to join us for our annual Fall Festival. On Friday, October 27th at 3:30 p.m., join us at the OMA Gym for food, fun, and fellowship. Costume, games, raffles, and competitions are just a few of our Fall Festival exciting activities. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to help. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
840, welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page this morning. My name is Colin Worthington, and representing Ward 4 for the city of Carrollton is Bob Uglum. He seeks re-election, being challenged this year by Constance Glenn. Again, Constance, if you're watching, please contact us. You can send me an email at cworthington@newstalk1330.com. We'd love to have you on the program. Why does it seem that violent crimes are on the upswing in Carrollton? I mean, to me, I feel like I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing the brazenness of criminal activity as well. The alleged criminals is obviously, I think this would be a concern for anybody. But what can we attribute that to?
Colin, I'm not an expert with the numbers on that. I think the general consensus is Carrollton's a pretty safe place to live. I know about the recent crime thing that happened near the university, and I don't really know a lot of the details from other than what I heard on the radio and read in the newspaper that it was people that came out here from Atlanta to do illegal things, maybe, and
Allegedly,
thank you, and but you know. Unfortunately, crime is part of our society these days, and not everybody always does the right thing. And I'm thankful we have a great police department in Carrollton, Georgia.
And that was that the issue was solved pretty darn quick. I mean, the officers were able to resolve that and make several arrests.
Well, how important a police force is to our town. Imagine living here without it, or with a less skilled police force. You know, our police force is fully staffed, and we've made, I think, significant improvements in their in how we pay our policemen over the last few years that I'm proud of.
And they're all getting real buff too.
They are.
You see some of those guys? I mean, because they have a nice facility right next door.
Yes.
And, but yeah, like Chad Taylor, gosh, vein popping out of his neck and everything. Hey, what conversations or I guess initiatives have you started in your 4 years as a councilman? Like maybe something that that you brought to the table that day and said, "Hey, we need to talk about this. We need to look into this." I think.
Well, ones that we've made some progress on, I feel, are Maple Street. Although you can't see anything yet, we have had lengthy discussions about how to and what we'd like to see on Maple Street. The tools that we have been given with the passage of the TAD, the Tax Allocation District, is important. That's something that costs the taxpayers nothing out of the taxpayers' pockets, but gives the city money. Not immediately. It'll take a little time for it to start to be seen, but it gives us the potential to do some things that we couldn't in the past. The only piece of property the city owns on Maple Street is Oil Park. And Oil Park has been, forgotten or put on the back burner for a long time.
Have you seen anybody use it? I mean, it's right. It's close to the college. I mean, it could be a nice place to share a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something. Do you see people using that park at all?
Not really.
Yeah.
And
does it have tennis courts on there?
It's got an old tennis court, and it's got a big softball field on the backside on South Boulevard, and that's really about it.
So an improvement, you think, making that more attractive is part of that plan?
I hope so. Well, it is.
Yeah. how important is it to hurry up and fix Main Street now that UWG is a Division I athletics, Division I in athletics? Start getting some national exposure and a lot of attention. Is it? Do you guys see you pushing the gas down and making things happen quicker since that designation?
Well, I hope so. The first time I met Dr. Kelly was in maybe late spring, early summer of 2020, and he wanted to talk with us about Maple Street then, and this is right after he'd come to town, and I don't blame him. Maple Street has just sort of decayed, a slow, just slowly decayed. And
I think there's other places just, like the square, there's been focus on the square as long as I've been here, and then maybe other places are more attractive at some point to build. So then when one person builds, another one wants to build beside it to take advantage of that business,
And the square and South Park, a lot of these businesses go by car count. And so, if you're putting in a new chain restaurant, you look at how many cars drive by your location every day. And we think we want to be on South Park because, 50,000 cars a day go by there versus Maple Street where 20,000 cars go.
What's the latest on Whataburger? People were flipping out online, weren't they, when they found out that's
they
potentially
did,
coming here? Yeah.
And a lot of restaurant consultants. They either love it or they want to share their opinions. But, Whataburger is big news. I've never been to one, but I noticed with interest or curiosity how big a story it was when one opened in Noonan.
Yeah.
And so when I heard tales of one coming to Carrollton, thought I'd share it. I'm glad you filled them in on the rest of the story.
And you think about how when Chipotle came here 2 years ago, how that was. That was packed for a good 2 months. With lines going out to the road. So perhaps could see something similar at Whataburger for a little bit as everybody checks that out. Talking with Mayor Betty Cason on the show about 2 weeks ago when she was a guest, talking to her about the charter, and then it gives her the option to vote on items, but mandates her to vote during a tie. She doesn't always vote on things that are presented, and she was saying that it seems like we're in accordance, like we agree most of the time, so she doesn't feel that's necessary. But do you think that she should cast a vote in everything that's brought before in order for constituents to get a better idea where her head is? And if something messes up, 2 years down the road and you're looking at council voted for this and it messed up, but the mayor didn't vote, so she wouldn't get any maybe accolades or the negative feedback if something does mess up later. You think it's important for her to vote on every matter?
I haven't given it a lot of thought. I'm sorry.
That's it, Bob? All right, time right now is 8:48. Bob Uglum, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. We'll take our second break and come back and continue our show here with Bob. Again, Bob is Carrollton City Councilman. Carrollton City Councilman represents Ward 4. This year he's being challenged by Constance Glenn. Today is the final day of early voting for the first week. We've got 2 more weeks of early voting. And when you're in the city of Carrollton, the early voting takes place at actually for everybody for the next week, too. Early voting in Carroll County takes place at the former WGTC building across from the sheriff's office. And then the week before Election Day, that last week of October, first week of November, you can cast ballots in Villa Rica at Lowell Park. I think it's called Lowell Park. Community Voice is brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
The Entrepreneur Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in business and leadership. Critical areas include identifying entrepreneurial characteristics, selecting a value position, and business model development. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
850 Friday morning. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice. My name's Colin Worthington. My guest this morning, Bob Uglum, Carrollton City Councilman, representing Ward 4. He is being challenged by Constance Glenn this year. Her name will be on the ballot along with Bob's in Ward 4. If you don't know if you live in Ward 4 or not, we do encourage you to check out the carrolltonga.com.org website. Type in the city of Carrollton, and you'll find that website and find out exactly what ward you're living in. Time right now, 8:51. Let's say last month, Carrollton City Council did have to decide on a rezoning for a potential maybe 300-unit apartment and a commercial building that they're kind of turning it into a multi-use facility, and it's going to be off the bypass on 161, 161, 166?
166?
Yeah, off the bypass there. And it's part of that big bot of land across from Cedar Street, where Cedar Street turns into the bypass.
Right.
You voted in favor of that project. Why?
I did.
Well, it ended up being a tie, right? So, but then Betty Casey did cast that vote to break that tie. Why did you vote in favor of it?
I thought the project was exciting. 300 nice apartments and the potential to bring in commercial. It's a good location. It probably has the least impact on neighbors as possible, and fairly easy access to the roads without causing a big traffic problem. And there's a lot of folks that would like to see some more nice choices for places to eat, for one thing. And I don't know what other kind of retail would go in there, but they kind of dangled a couple of potential restaurants.
Do you want to tell us what was dangled?
Well, no, but I think there's common knowledge of two or at least a couple of prominent restaurant chains that would like to come to town, and so they tease us with those potentially going in there, and that's a huge project. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but I want to say a $70 million project. It's big.
It could be a significant change to the city. I would think. A shift, and a big shift too.
Well, and it might. You're right. It might do something to kind of spur growth on that side of town. First Tuesday Mall and in that area, Bankhead. But we get quite a few comments. People say, I do not want any apartments in Carrollton. Then I get, on the other hand, school administrators say, we need places for teachers to live. Police department says we need place for police to live. People that,
we got to think about that. Yeah, I don't always think about that. We need places for the officers to live and bring them in recruiting. Yeah. Talking about the potential growth in Carrollton, Villarica has been talking about potentially significant growth for quite a while. As a Carrollton City Council person, would you feel comfortable lobbying a Villarica councilman to vote a certain way? Like if you saw something happening that could affect Carrollton in a certain way that you see as possibly negative? And again, I ask that because Villarica right now is talking about. They have talked about housing units coming down 61, coming down the Villarica Carrollton bypass, which will have some growth, and that could, people living there could tend to go to Carrollton for their needs. Would you feel comfortable talking to another municipality about, hey, maybe you don't want to do that because it could hurt us?
Oh, I'd feel fine with talking with them about it. Most of these things are complicated enough to where you'd want to have a discussion, not go give them a lecture. But I've got a couple friends in Villarica, and I always enjoy talking with them.
and staying outside of Carrollton city limits, either last year or I think it was last year, Carrollton, and this is documented. Carrollton City did tell the developer who was wanting to develop something outside the city limits that you could provide was it water or wastewater for them, and then it was changed. So there was another letter sent to them saying, "No, we can't do that now." There's been a lawsuit, and since then, Carrollton seems like they came out ahead after that lawsuit was settled.
Right.
It feels that way to me. Does City Council have a say in who you will provide water to outside of city limits, or
Yes.
is that mostly city manager? So was that brought forth, voted, or?
Well, again, I don't really know all the particulars there, Colin. That was handled by our ex-city manager, but I think there was my interpretation of it was there was a miscommunication between our city engineer and the developer of that property that you're talking about. And I'm glad you asked me this because I was out campaigning the other day and a constituent asked me about this. So there's still some misunderstanding. But in the question of to our city engineer of could you hook up to our the city's water lines, he said, well, I think you could. But what he didn't include in the sentence or the reply was it would need to be approved by the mayor and the council. So I believe somebody went and bought the property and started making progress on it, and that's where it wound up.
Well, what would be your standards then to allow to provide that water? Because Villa Rica is having a big conversation about water right now, and they have big concerns. And other cities do. What would be your standards to allow somebody to tap into Carrollton's finest water in the state?
These are sewer lines.
Sewer lines
that were run almost 20 years ago for a proposed
Kroger.
To my understanding, a proposed Kroger out in front of Midway Church. That I'm not real sure why Carrollton was running water lines that far out at that time, but since then the city's adopted a policy of we will look at commercial establishments, and even then, we don't have to add them onto there. My big question is, there's some kind of commercial developments that are going to have a negative impact on our environment, and there's others that are pretty low impact. So, if they're low impact, I'm probably all for it.
Mm-hmm. Even if they're out of city limits. But there's a benefit for Carrollton to do that, right? Financial benefit.
Some.
Yeah. We got about 2 minutes left in the show. Let's ask the why are you running again, Bob Uglum? Why do you seek 4 more years on Carrollton City Council?
Well, in the 4 years that I've been on it, we've laid the groundwork, I hope, to make some big progress on Maple Street. And I would like to see some of that come to fruition. I feel like city taxpayers may benefit from having another conservative person on the city council that watches to the best of his ability how your tax dollars are being spent, and it's a lot of moving pieces. So I promise that I'll do my best with that, and I'm excited about Maple Street and other things. There's so much growth going on in Ward 4 right now. The Birches is a huge project, and that whole Maple Street Commons in the next couple of years is going to look a lot different. We got a roundabout coming in at the end of the bypass, big new housing development right there at the end of the bypass. There's some exciting things about to pop.
Bob Uglum is Ward 4 City Councilman, City of Carrollton, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. If you want to ask him some questions after, a lot of people listen to this show and watch this show later on in the day, so feel free to post a question there for him, and maybe Bob will take a look at it and answer them. Stay dry out there today, and homecoming weekend at EWG this weekend, so do expect some traffic in the area, and go out and enjoy yourself. Have a great weekend, everybody.